The first episode of Season 3 of Zerothreetwo Conversations is brought to you by Cube Gallery, a progressive art space in Cebu, Philippines, providing network and exhibit opportunities for contemporary artists with whom they work closely with and promote beyond the local reach. What's in store this month? The Salon Series #1. It kicks off at Cube Gallery on January 7, Tuesday at 6 p.m. That's today if you're listening to the podcast when it comes out. The Salon Series in its first edition features Corponomy. I don't know how to pronounce that. Corponomy, a performance by contemporary choreographer and dancer Isa Hoxon, and a special reading by poet and essayist Lawrence Lacambra Ypil. Larry Ypil has been in the podcast. Check out his episode. Salon Series is an ongoing project initiated and organized by Isa Hoxon and Stephanie Misa. Upcoming exhibitions: Vecindad by Impressionist artist Jose Mari Picornel and Ultimatum by Leopoldo Aguilar. To request a catalog or for any inquiries, connect with Cube Gallery through Facebook and Instagram at cubegallery.ph and on Artsy at www.artsy.net/cube-gallery. Links in the show notes. Let's get to the show! Welcome to Zerothreetwo Conversations, the podcast where we talk to creatives, see how they live and how they do their work. I'm your host, Carlo Villarica. Happy New Year! Welcome to the very first episode of Season 3, Zerothreetwo Conversations. I'm a little bit rusty reading the ad read and even the intro. It feels so long since the last episode. I mean, it's hard to believe that really I just took like a week off, like one Tuesday off from Zerothreetwo Conversations. And welcome to the 2020 season, the third season of Zerothreetwo Conversations. And just like to, this is the first episode, so as per previous New Year's episodes, I like to talk a little bit about the year that was, maybe some New Year's resolutions. So like 2019, it was a weird year. 2019 was a weird year. Things didn't necessarily go to plan. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to recap some of the resolutions from 2019. And so like Zerothreetwo had some struggles a little bit on the business side. As most of you know, we're a client-based business. And, some years you get a lot of clients and some years you don't have as much. And 2019 was one of those years when we just didn't have as much clients. But aside from that, nothing much has changed. So things that changed, for example, is, we have less clients, so we have a little less money to spend on clothing. So now we're relying a little bit on the return from the clothing to actually fund making more clothing. So unfortunately, that is not a process that is fast. So since what do you call this? We just, whatever we make from the clothing, we put back, so it doesn't make the growth of the clothing as fast as it was before. But that's okay, because, it just means we have a little less money to spend. But the Zerothreetwo machine continues to turn, and that's fine. So that's one of the things that didn't go well in 2019, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that did go well. Another thing that didn't go to plan for 2019, in fact, one of the biggest changes to me personally, was the wife and I, we've decided to move into a house of our own. And then it ended up taking a lot longer than we thought it would. In our heads, when we first decided to get a house of our own, to go through that whole process, we thought it would take like 2 or 3 months. And then like 7 months later, that's when we'll finally probably be able to move into a new home. I'll get into that more later on. But back to the topic of family. So this was the year also where we decided on not having a yaya anymore for our kids. We've had, I think in the past 3, as you know, we're a Filipino family. So typical Well, I don't know if it's typical, to be honest, but like I grew up with a yaya. Maybe you grew up with a yaya. Maybe you have a, maybe you're a parent and you also have a yaya, or like, Western countries like to call them an au pair. Funny story. I didn't know what an au pair was when I lived abroad, and I saw an ad on the newspaper, and it said they were looking for an au pair. I didn't know what it was. Then I just read the description: somebody to teach our kid English, and walk him around the park. Be there when the parents are not there. And then I was like, oh great, I can do that. And then I talked to the dad on the phone. He was really nice, and he just told me, oh, we were hoping it would be a woman to take care of the kids. And I realized, oh, au pair means yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we decided to not have one anymore. And you know what? It's been a game-changing decision. Obviously, the reason why you get a nanny, an au pair, a yaya, is so that you have some time for yourself. You don't have to worry about doing all the little things for the kids, like feeding them, changing them, you making sure they are entertained while you're working. Somebody to watch them basically while you're doing other things. And I don't know, man. It's like it's a game changer in the sense that, well, number one, the reason why we decided not to have a yaya is that as most, I don't know, at least the families that I talk to, it's so hard to get one these days. Number one, it's really difficult to get a full-time nanny. The wife and I, we went through, I don't know, a couple of nannies, and sometimes they would leave because they had other options, like they would go abroad and become like a maid in Hong Kong or something like that. Or in other times, there's just some who just take a vacation and just never come back. And especially those cases, it was really stressful, super stressful. And that's what happened with the last one. Like, she was totally okay, super nice. But then when she decided to go home for a vacation, just never came back. Just, stopped replying to calls, or stopped answering calls, stopped replying to texts. And what can you do? So now it's just a little bit harder these days. I actually think it's a good thing overall that it's harder. It just means that people have more options economically. They get better jobs. And, the salaries that you can give a yaya has to be quite high for her to stay. Yeah, she's away from her family also and everything. So anyway, we decided on a no yaya. It's been great. Obviously, I have a less time to waste. I don't have that much time anymore to just watch a movie. You have no idea how like 2 hours to watch a movie in peace is. Like, it's such a gift. But also at the same time, it feels so much. It feels so much closer. I feel so much closer to the kids now. You spend every day with them. You figure out, like, literally spend every day with them. You figure out what works when they're eating, what works to keep them occupied, and you have to change them. You have to bathe them. You have to feed them, and of course they also want to play. All of that. So it's been great. It's been really challenging, but it's been great. I don't know. I think Steph and I, we've decided basically that we're not going to do it. Even if there was an opportunity to get a nanny in the future, it's easier in a different way. You don't have that mental stress of having to worry about another person or worry about how this person is treating your kids. You get to do that on your own. So you really get to truly raise your kids. That's been our experience. It's been good. It's been challenging. Of course, it's kind of easy for me to say because, Steph and I have jobs that are very flexible. We can bring our kids to our jobs to some degree. And we both get to do that. So we both cover for each other. So that's another thing about 2019. Steph has been a great wife, perfect partner in raising the kids. We help each other out. So good. And then not only that, she's been a great wife, a great parent, and also allows me to do the stuff that I enjoy, which is to I am gone for hours at a time sometimes on weekends, just cycling. She's given me the time to do it. And even if I sometimes come home later than expected, which happened like yesterday, so she gets a bit angry about that. But all in all, super good, perfect. I could have not asked for a better partner, and not something I knew about when we got married. Before we got engaged, we didn't actually talk about kids until we got engaged, and it's worked out. It's worked out. So the other thing that I hinted on earlier is that big moving to a new house. So we went through the process of looking for a house. In fact, we gave an offer for a house that we liked, and then it turned out that that offer, the person didn't like the offer that we gave, and some things happened, and we didn't get that first house, and we finally got another house. So we went through that whole process that took a lot longer than expected. Paying for the house took a lot longer than expected. Getting a bank loan for the house took a lot longer than expected. So hopefully now 2020 will be the year. I'm hoping first quarter, in all honesty. The first quarter of 2020 will be the actual move to the house itself. That's going to be a whole new challenge for the wife and I. How are we going to balance the move? How are we going to figure out the new living situation? And of course, we both got to work. And there's this new thing that I want to do for 2020, and I'm going to have to figure that out as well in terms of balance. I'm going to talk about that. Well, I'm going to hint on it later on in this episode. Again, for 2019, another recap was I really discovered my love for cycling. It's fun. I think I really like it because, number one, I get to explore Cebu, right? And Cebu is so good, so nice if you go through it with a bicycle. So some of my bucket list rides were done this year. I did a round Cebu ride thanks to the Polio Now group of the Rotary Club. Shout out to Bernard Sia. He organized that whole thing. It was good. It was good. So we did a round Cebu ride. So through that, I also met a whole bunch of new people who I ride with now on a regular basis. And I've done plenty of rides up into the unknown mountains of Cebu. At least it was unknown to me, right? So, and then of course I joined that event, the Cebu Epic 2019 event. Thank you, Chyrel Gomez, for organizing that event. I hope to join in the 2021. Hopefully my bike will do it. And I was able to cycle to and around Dumaguete twice for 2019. So that was great. Yeah. Exploring through a bicycle is really, really good. And I recommitted to commuting around the city with a bicycle. So I sold my pickup in 2019. We sold my pickup, and then the wife and I bought an Innova. So the Innova is perfect. It's like the perfect car because, number one, it's an automatic, so Steph can drive it. Steph drives automatic, so it needs to be automatic. And then, of course, I can fit in there, and then the kids can fit in there, and there's a lot of space in the back for like stuff to do, stuff to put, particularly my bicycle. If I am commuting, it's a good place to put it. So now let's recap the 2019 resolution. So I'm going to link to the 2019 resolutions, and I'm going to go through them and see how we did. So personal goals of so I divided them into personal goals and 032 resolutions. So let's start with the personal. So personal goals, at least one epic bike ride per month. I did that. I did a lot more than one epic bike ride per month. Again, just to do a quick recap, we did the Cebu Epic 2019, the Polio ride around Cebu, I did another Festive 500, and there were a ton of great rides in between. I met so many good, cool people. So that was a check mark. Did that. Great. Okay, next personal goal is to continue to spend quality time with family. I subdivided into like 3 things. No phone. Basically, just try to spend, try to be there in front of people. I think for the most part, I'm pretty good at that, honestly. And it feels weird to be on the phone while people are around me. So I'm pretty good with that. Actually playing with the kids, do that a lot. Sometimes you need to play with them just to get them into the bathroom. So so that they can shower. So I play with them a lot. And more quiet dinner dates with their wife. I'm still bad at that. I should try to do that some more. I should do that more. So that's a big one. Should try to do that. Steph, if you're listening, I'm going to try to do that some more. All right. So, and then let's go to the 032 2019 New Year's resolutions. First thing was continue with the fun stuff. The fun stuff meaning the Monday Musings newsletter. Yes, have continued doing that. I think I missed one Monday the whole 2019, and I think that was the last Monday of the year. I think. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was just one Monday. Pretty good. And the 032 Conversations podcast, you're listening right now, so it's still going strong. A lot more listeners this year in 2019 than in 2018. I hope to continue to make this thing grow. All right, so that's one of the first New Year's resolution for 032. The second 032 New Year's resolution for 2019 was 032 merchandise. More 032 merchandise. And this is where we faltered a little bit since we had a little less spending money because we didn't have as many clients as years past. So this took a hit. We released a lot less this year. And it is what it is. That's just the nature of doing business, doing entrepreneurship. Sometimes you're doing really well and sometimes you're not. But there's a lot of things that are doing well for 032 lately. And I think this podcast is one of those things. And personally, I feel like this podcast has a higher ceiling than client work. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So the other fourth thing was on digital marketing clients, just do better work. I think we've done that. I think that the work has been better. We've fulfilled our promise. It just so happens that we don't have as many clients as before. And the fifth New Year's resolution, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth New Year's resolution for 032 was to open up a 032 store. Again, we weren't able to do that. It sucks. But who knows? Maybe 2020, maybe it won't be a 032 store. Maybe it'll be something else. Because let's get to the 2020 New Year's resolutions. Resolution sounds weird, honestly. I try to not really have resolutions or goals because they're kind of designed to, I don't know, they're not designed. Anyway, New Year's resolutions. So for 2020 New Year's, here are the 2020 resolutions. So on the personal note, we got to move into that new home. We got a lot of work to do. I have to renovate it. We'll have to furnish it. And then the biggest thing will be we'll have to figure out how to live there. Now, what I mean by figure out how to live there is, the wife and I have really busy lives. And now we'll have to, moving into a home to ourselves, we're going to have to figure out all the little things. How are we going to do the cleaning? How about the food to the day-to-day basis while taking care of the kids, while doing the work that we do? So we got to work that out. We're going to figure that out. And then that's all under moving into a new home. And the next personal resolution for me is to continue to make family a priority, hang out with the kids, all those nice things. And I got to try harder to go on dates with the wife. We go out a lot, actually, but, not a lot, enough, but not many times with just me and Steph. Of course, it's harder to do that now since we don't have a nanny, but still, we have lots of relatives who can watch the kids for 2 hours. or 3 hours, whatever. So I'll try harder to do this. Try to go on more dates. And another personal New Year's resolution is more epic bike rides. Basically, this is the fun thing that I like to do. I don't think it'll be that difficult. I already had an epic bike ride, and it's only January 5 as of this reading. And this is another resolution on the sort of personal note because it's not a 032 resolution, but it has a lot to do with my potential work in the future. I've got a possible new business venture brewing. I can't announce it right now, but we'll see if I can make it a reality for 2020. All right, so here's the 032 resolutions. We're going to continue with what works. That means the 032 Conversations episodes. You're listening to the first one of season 3, so that's one out of like 50 more to go, 50-something more to go. I'm excited for all the interviews that I'm going to do. And I've already scheduled a few for January. I've already recorded the January interviews. So, yeah, I think this is really fun and one of the most gratifying things to do, really, honestly, the podcast. And I notice a lot more people doing podcasts. Yeah, I think it's a good medium. And the other thing that I think works is the Monday Musings newsletter. If you don't know, every Monday I release a newsletter called the Monday Musings. It's something that I've been thinking about or cool stuff that I found on the internet or recommendations or whatever. And people seem to like it. People seem to read it. So I'm going to continue doing that. And I'm going to have the occasional 032 release every now and then. In fact, I think the first release for 2020 032 related will finally be that cycling jersey that I've been waiting for forever. Okay, that's probably going to come out January. I'm going to have to do a legitimate shoot for that. So that's basically it. That's the 2020 resolutions. That's the podcast. Thank you, Cube Gallery, for sponsoring the podcast. The music from this podcast is Piano March by Audionautics. And if you, the listener, wants to help me continue making 032 Conversations podcasts, if you think this is contributing to the creative community, contributing to you in particular, if you're learning something from this podcast, consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/032. Help supports the podcast. I post exclusive content there every now and then. And depending on what tier you choose, you might get free merchandise exclusive to 032 Patreon members. Lastly, if you can't monetarily support, consider sharing 032 Conversations, the podcast, online on social media. Okay, first interview of 032 first interview of 2020 coming out next week. Thank you for listening. 2020. New start, new year. It's going to be good. Cheers. Bye.